Hi listeners, welcome English language students, especially the Form 3 and the Form 4s in Tanzanian secondary schools, English language teachers, lovers of literature, and the followers of my YouTube channel. Today, we are like to have a discussion on a famous novel, Passed Like a Shadow. Remember, Passed Like a Shadow was written by Regnard Mapalala, and this novel was set in a western part of Uganda. The year of publication is 2006. The publisher of this novel is Dar es Salaam University Press, DUP. Before proceeding with the analysis of this novel, I wish to present to you the biography of the writer of this book. And the presenter is Regnard Bishoza, one of the Tanzanian English language and literature teachers. Welcome. Who is Regnard Mapalala? Regnard Mapalala, dear listeners, is a Tanzanian novelist who was born on 28th of May 1957 in Tabora, Tanzania. Regnard Mapalala is a born writer with several published books. Also, he is a former managing editor of The Guardian and The Citizen daily newspapers in Tanzania. Regnard Mapalala authored the following books. He wrote Kwaheri Isilamagazi. He also wrote Passed Like a Shadow, the novel which we are going to have a discussion on it today. He also wrote Salome Maskini and The Death Factory. Listeners, remember his most popular book is Passed Like a Shadow. Having come across of the short biography of the writer, I wish to present to you the brief description of the title of this novel. What does it mean by the title Passed Like a Shadow? And I kindly remind you to bear in your mind that the main theme of this novel is HIV/AIDS pandemic. Now, the title of the novel, Passed Like a Shadow, is derived from a verb passed and a noun shadow. Passed, as far as this novel is concerned, is a euphemism word for died. What is a shadow? Dear listeners, a shadow is a dark figure cast on the ground or an object when something intercepts the rays of the sun. And remember, one of the notable characteristics of a shadow is that the shadow does not exist for a length time. That's to say, It only lasts for some time before it evaporates into nothingness. Listeners, as far as this interpretation is concerned in connection with the title of this novel, in relation to the content of the novel, the title of the novel narrates the lives of individuals who didn't accomplish anything or much in their lives. That is to say, some individuals do not accomplish their dreams because their lives are shortened by HIV/AIDS catastrophe. About the novel Passed Like a Shadow narrates events that led to the once pandemic disease HIV/AIDS. Slithering or moving in a sliding motion, moving quickly its way into Adyeri's and David's family, and consequently claiming some members of Adyeri's family, including Adyeri himself, and all of David's family, including David. They all pass like a shadow, with exception of only one family member of Adyeri's family, that is a female daughter, Abooki. Listeners, the novel is centered on Adyeri, a husband and father whose dictatorial style of leadership in his family, drunkenness, and extramarital affair, or what is referred to as infidelity. All this behavior led his family into severe poverty, disintegration of the family, and culminated in AIDS claiming his life and of his wife Amoti. Adyeri, one of his two children, also was infected with the disease in his adulthood after the death of his parents. Adyeri's free living lifestyle led him to getting the disease. That is to say, Adyeri suffers from poor upbringing because of his father's behavior. Remember, only Abooki, who is Adyeri's sister, didn't get the disease. That's to say, she is spared from HIV catastrophe. Additionally, David's family, on the other side, was immersed in a stylish lifestyle in Kampala, Uganda. That is to say, David's family, extravagant lifestyle characterized by moral decay, paves the way to HIV transmission in that very family. Parents seem to be responsible, and this paves the way to the whole family passing like a shadow. David and his father slept with women who their eyes fell on. Consequently, David's father infected his mother, and he too had been infected with the disease, including the housemaid or the house girl. The whole family, including the houseworker, were wiped out by the disease. Listeners, the events in the novel occur during the period when AIDS was claiming thousands of lives, and at a time when little was known about the disease. That is to say, the majority of Ugandans passed like a shadow due to ignorance, and no drug had been made to treat HIV and AIDS. This marks the end of the short or brief description of the title of this novel. Listeners, I wish to present to you the analysis of this novel basing on a form category of literature. And remember, I wish to present to you the plot summary of this novel. And the summary is going to base on chapters, each chapter's summary. Remember, the presenter is Regnard Bishoza, and I wish to warmly invite you to make a follow-up until the end of this very presentation. Keep on making a clear follow-up regarding this lesson. Dear listeners, I wish to present to you the number of chapters that make this novel. The novel consists of 10 chapters. Here goes the summary of chapter 1. Chapter 1 has a title, Introduction of Adyeri's Family. Well, the chapter begins by Daddy or Adyeri, who comes back home very drunk, wet and dirty, and the whole atmosphere changes. Remember, Adyeri is alcoholic throughout this novel, and this is one of his notable behavior. He orders his food, and as Abooki carries it to him, a truck unfortunately crashes into her, sending the meal down. It was a hell of a mistake. Daddy laments and fumes. Both Atoki and Abooki are frustrated and frightened because they know a cane will soon fall. That is to say, Adyeri is a dictator of his own house. He calls Atoki twice and gives him a classic slap in the face. Amoti appears from Virika Hospital, where she had gone to fetch water. She attacks Adyeri for beating her son a man-sized beating. That's to say, Amoti is trying to defend her son from severe beating from his father. Amoti regrets for marrying him and calls him a pig, to mean Adyeri seems to be a useless and a helpless man. Amot was good at a war of words, since she believed they hurt her husband deeply. That's to say, words were Amoti's weapons towards attacking Adyeri. Adyeri gives her a sound beating. Atoki goes to help her, but he receives a furious kick in the stomach. At last, Adyeri leaves the house, not to come back that night. Dear listeners, here goes Chapter 2 summary. Chapter 2 has a title, Vicky comes with a fiancé. Vic, remember, Vic is Adyeri's niece as far as this novel is concerned. Vic, who had gone to Kitagwenda several months ago, comes back with a stranger, Munyamahanga. Vic was a daughter of Adyeri's late sister. She was forced to move from home due to harsh treatment from both her uncle and Aunt Amoti. She met a rich man who owned a garage somewhere at Kamwenge and wanted to marry her. He was called Akena Oplot. They receive a cold welcome from Amoti, who reports their arrival to Adyeri. Adyeri does not react rudely. Instead, he welcomes Vicky politely. On hearing that Akena owns a garage, Amoti becomes jealous and complicates the matter that Vicky cannot marry a Munyamahanga. Remember, the term Munyamahanga has been used to represent a man who comes from another tribe, a man who does not belong to the Batoro people, who are the people of Adyeri's society. For Adyeri, as long as the bride price is settled, it does not matter who or what marries Vic, whether it is a person, a cow, or a donkey. That is to say, Adyeri is a greedy man. He meets with his drinking pals, or drinking friends, or drinking mates, and they put a proper breakdown on the bride price as follows. These are the bride price items as proposed by Adyeri together with his drinking mates. 15 heads of cattle, 8 goats, 50,000 shillings for buying back cloth for Adyeri, 15,000 shillings for buying daddy's walking stick, and 2 jerry cans of beer. At the end, the meeting ends without a consensus. They do not reach a general agreement between the two parties, that those are Adyeri's side and Akena's side. Remember, Akena Oplot could not manage to pay all the required items for the bride price, so they end up in lack of general agreement. Chapter 3. This has the title Uncle Rari Pays the Visit. Remember Uncle Rari in this story? He is Atwoki and Abooki's uncle, and he is portrayed as a kind man in this novel. Well, we are told of Atwoki, who is very intelligent and good footballer when young, which suggests that he would be a good footballer in the future. And this comes into reality because Atwoki must experience fame in football. He is a football talented boy, and this must reward him with fame. Atwoki makes prophecies with his fellow children about their future. We are also told of Abooki, who is Atwoki's sister, who is in the same class with him. One day, their uncle Rari comes to visit them and brings them sweets and biscuits. He finds the children very hungry and they have no firewood in the house. Uncle Rari gives them money to buy all the needs in the kitchen. Then Daddy comes staggering and singing his favorite song. He is told that Uncle Adyeri has come and is the one who bought the domestic needs. He feels ashamed to see the visitor footing the food berries in his house. This is an indicator of parental irresponsibility because Adyeri does not fulfill his responsibilities as a father of the house. Chapter 4. Chapter 4 has the title Vic is introduced to a bad company. What is this bad company? Vic is introduced to prostitutes who are Tusime and Kunihira. Vic is back from Bundibugyo, where she went to pluck tea in a neighbor's plantation. She is now chatting with Tusime and Kunihira. Lacking any comfort and guidance at home, she had increasingly felt drawn closer to the two. Tusime and Kunihira advised Vic a lot of things, including running away with Akena or getting involved in commercial sex because they are doing it. These two friends of hers were both the worst products of Fort Portal education system. Tusime led others in the burning of the mattresses at Maria Goretti Secondary School and was discontinued. Kunihira was expelled in the third year from Kiebambe Girls Secondary School. So that is to say the two, Tusime and Kunihira, are school dropout. Vicky changes and becomes a polished lady, and men begin chasing her. She begins footing the food berries and brings drinks like beer for her uncle. And this is a great pleasure to Adyeri because Adyeri is used to drinking behavior. That silenced both Amot and Adyeri. She then elopes with a man from Kasese and leaves the house with that man from Kasese. He is Aliganyira, a rich man and one of the most important people in Kabaka's council. He's the one who marries Vic. But remember, he is promiscuous. How? We are going to find later in a story proceedings. Chapter 5. Adyeri's background or flashback. One day, Adyeri was invited at Kinyamasika Primary School as one of the pioneer teachers of the school. The children of class 5 sang the song that struck deep in his heart, strumming painful memories of his whole life. It is this song that bears the title of the book, Passed Like a Shadow. It needs people to reflect on their lives when they are still alive and think of what will be left behind when they are gone, lest they pass like a shadow. So the song was a kind reminder for people to live on earth so that when they die, they leave some good memories for them to be remembered for. Unless otherwise, they end up passing like a shadow without leaving behind some memorable marks. Adyeri decides to rise and go back home. We are told of the story of Adyeri's concubine. Who is Adyeri's concubine in this story? She is Berungi, who was his secretary, and how he squandered the school funds to build her a house somewhere at Burungu. Adyeri then moved to live with Birungi after being fired from his job. Remember, he is fired from his job following the financial scandal of stealing the school fund, and the fund is used to build the house for Birungi in Burungu. Adyeri sold his land and financed a shop she had opened at Mugusu Trading Center. He began to deteriorate and he was admitted for having HIV/AIDS, and wondered who might have infected him with the disease, since he had many concubines. That is to say, he was a maniac. After the TB treatment, he goes to shelter himself at Birungi's house, but Birungi chases him away. This is an indicator of betrayal in love relationship. Chapter 6. Chapter 6 has the title, Atwoki becomes famous and successful. Remember, Atwoki is a football talented boy. And the talent has grown up to make him successful. Atwoki becomes famous and successful. He scores 2 goals that send his team to the African Cup of Nations. Remember, it was Uganda national team. He becomes famous all over Uganda. He is nicknamed Fort Portal Bullet. He receives gifts and money from his fans, and the president offers him a brand new car plus full paid holiday trip to the Queen Elizabeth National Park in Kasese. Adyeri lives miserably, but has categorically stated that he will not kneel and ask any financial assistance from Atwoki. Notwithstanding Atwoki's prosperity in football. Amoti is happy because of the tragedy that has befallen her husband and says, let him learn. That is to say, Amoti is vengeful. She revenges on what Adyeri did to her by having multiple sexual partners. An old woman comes to beg her to forgive him, but Amoti refuses. Then football fans of Atwoki bring Adyeri in a stretcher. One man speaks for the group and begs Atwoki to forgive his father. Remember, Akali is the one who speaks for the group, and he is one of the Atwoki's football followers, or Atwoki's football fans. Chapter 7. Chapter 7 has the title, Atwoki's Life in Kampala. Remember, Atwoki had been invited by his friend David in Kampala. Atwoki, before going home, they got to a restaurant where David influences Atwoki to have a girlfriend.